There is a question that haunts every human being in their darkest hours. It is a question whispered in hospital beds, screamed into pillows in the dead of night, and carried in the silent, heavy hearts of those who have lost what they hold most dear. The question is this: why? Why is there so much pain? Why is this happening to me? What is the point of a suffering that feels so senseless, so cruel, so utterly meaningless? We live in a culture that is terrified of this question. We are taught to avoid pain at all costs, to numb it with distractions, to medicate it into silence, or to pretend it isn't there with a veneer of forced positivity. We treat suffering as a sign of failure, a glitch in the system, a cosmic error that must be corrected or ignored. But what if suffering is not an error? What if it is an essential part of the human curriculum? And what if the deepest meaning of your life is not found in the avoidance of pain, but in the heart of it? There was one man who earned the right to answer this question. His name was Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable horrors of 4 Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz. In that abyss of human suffering, where everything was taken from him, his family, his home, his dignity, his name, he made a discovery so profound it would change the course of psychology forever. He discovered that the search for meaning is the primary driving force in human beings. And he discovered a secret, that even in the most absolute, hopeless suffering, it is possible to find a deep and life-sustaining purpose. Today, we are not just going to talk about this idea, we are going to learn how to do it. This is Viktor Frankl's secret, how to find meaning in your suffering. If you are currently navigating a dark night of the soul, if your pain feels meaningless and overwhelming, then stay with me. This is not about platitudes. This is about a technology of the soul, forged in the deepest fires of human adversity. Subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and let us begin the sacred work of transforming pain into purpose. To begin, we must understand the core of Frankl's philosophy, which he called logotherapy. Logos is a Greek word for meaning. Logotherapy is quite literally healing through meaning. Frankl observed a crucial phenomenon in the concentration camps. He saw that the prisoners who were most likely to survive were not necessarily the youngest, the strongest, or the healthiest. They were the ones who had a why to live for. They were the ones who had a reason to endure the unendurable. It could be the hope of seeing a loved one again. It could be a piece of work they felt they had to finish. It could be a deep sense of faith. This why, this purpose, acted as a spiritual anchor in a sea of absolute despair. It created a future to live for, a light in the total darkness. From this profound observation, Frankl concluded that the will to meaning is more powerful than the will to pleasure or the will to power. A person can endure almost any how in life as long as they have a why. The suffering itself is not what breaks us. What breaks us is the feeling that our suffering is meaningless. The void, the emptiness, the existential vacuum, as Frankl called it, is a more terrifying and destructive force than any external hardship. This brings us to the first and most crucial part of Frankl's secret. Meaning is not something you find in the world. It is something you bring to the world. We have been taught to think of meaning as something we discover, like finding a treasure. We believe that one day we will stumble upon our grand purpose, and then our lives will finally make sense. But Frankl taught that this is a passive and childish approach. Meaning is not discovered. It is created. It is an active choice. It is a stand you take. It is a response you choose to have in the face of life's challenges. You are not a passive victim of a meaningless universe. You are an active creator of meaning. And this is the source of all human power and freedom. Even when you have lost control over everything in your external world, your health, your job, your freedom, you still retain, as Frankl called it, the last of the human freedoms. The freedom to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances. The freedom to choose your own way. In that small, sacred space between stimulus and response, between what happens to you and how you react to it, lies your ultimate power. And it is in that space that meaning is born. So, how do we do it? How do we actively create meaning, especially when we are in the grip of deep suffering? Frankl identified 3 primary avenues, 3 great paths to a meaningful life. And understanding these paths is the practical how-to part of his secret. The first path is by creating a work or doing a deed. This is the path of purpose through action. It is about dedicating yourself to a task, a mission, a creative work that is larger than yourself. This is the meaning found in your contribution to the world. In the camps, Frankl kept himself alive by focusing on the work he felt he had to do to survive so that he could teach the world about logotherapy. He would spend his nights secretly reconstructing his lost manuscript in his mind. This work gave his suffering a purpose. His pain was no longer just his own. It was a sacrifice for a future mission. In your own life, this path is about asking yourself, what is the work that is mine to do? This doesn't have to be a grand, world-changing project. It could be raising your children with love and consciousness. It could be creating a beautiful garden. It could be mastering your craft with excellence. It could be contributing to your community. When you dedicate yourself to a task that you believe in, your personal suffering begins to feel less significant. Your pain is put into the service of a larger goal. You are no longer just an individual in pain. You are a soldier on a mission, a builder of a cathedral. The work provides a why that transcends your personal comfort. It gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning, even when your heart is heavy. A common trap here is to believe you must first feel good to do good work. Frankl's wisdom is the reverse. You must do good work, and the feeling of meaning and purpose will follow. Action is the antidote to despair. The second great path to meaning is by experiencing something or encountering someone. This is the path of purpose through love, through connection, through the appreciation of beauty. This is about finding meaning, not in what you give to the world, but in what you receive from it. For Frankl, the most powerful force in this category was love. In the darkest moments in the camp, freezing and starving on a forced march, he would bring the image of his wife to his mind. He would have vivid internal conversations with her. And he wrote, "I understood how a man who has nothing left in this world still may know bliss, be it only for a brief moment, in the contemplation of his beloved." Love was a force more real and more powerful than the surrounding horror. It gave his suffering a context. He was enduring it for her, in a sense, in the name of the love they shared. This love was a light that the darkness of the camp could not extinguish. In your life, this path is about cultivating your capacity to love and to connect. It is about finding meaning in your relationships. Your suffering can be made meaningful if you choose to see it as a process that is deepening your capacity for empathy and compassion, making you a better friend, a better partner, a better parent. It is also about the meaning we can find in experiencing beauty. Even in the camps, Frankl and his fellow prisoners would find moments of profound meaning by witnessing a beautiful sunset over the grim barracks. The capacity to be moved by beauty, by art, by nature, is a powerful antidote to the feeling of meaninglessness. It reminds us that even when our personal world is filled with darkness, there is still a transcendent beauty and order in the universe. It connects us to something larger than our own pain. You can create meaning in your suffering by choosing to open your heart, by choosing to love, and by choosing to still see the beauty in the world, even through your tears. Now we arrive at the third, and perhaps most profound path to meaning. This is the path that is available to us when all others are gone. When you are too sick to work, when you have lost the ones you love, when you are in a situation where you cannot change your external circumstances at all. The third path is by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. This is the ultimate test. Frankl believed that when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Suffering, in this context, ceases to be a problem and becomes an opportunity. It is an opportunity to demonstrate the highest human virtues, courage, dignity, and compassion. It is an opportunity to turn a personal tragedy into a human triumph. Frankl tells the story of an elderly doctor who came to him, deeply depressed after the death of his beloved wife. Frankl asked him, "What would have happened, doctor, if you had died first and your wife would have had to survive you?" The doctor replied, "Oh, for her this would have been terrible. She would have suffered terribly." To which Frankl responded, "You see, doctor, such a suffering has been spared her, and it is you who have spared her this suffering. But now, You have to pay for it by surviving and mourning her." The man said nothing, shook Frankl's hand, and calmly left the office. His suffering had not been removed, but its meaning had been transformed. It was no longer the senseless suffering of a man who had lost his wife. It was now a sacrifice, a meaningful act of love. He was bearing his pain so that she would not have to. His grief had been elevated into a final noble gift to the woman he loved. This is the alchemy of meaning. This is the most powerful secret Frankl has to give us. Your deepest pain can become your greatest purpose. The way you choose to bear your unavoidable suffering can become your ultimate contribution to the world. It can become a source of inspiration for others. When you face your illness with courage and grace, you give a gift to your family. When you navigate your grief with dignity and love, you give a gift to your community. You are demonstrating that the human spirit is stronger than any external fate. You are turning your personal cross into a lighthouse for others who are lost in the storm. You are not just enduring your suffering. You are using it. You are transforming it into a legacy of meaning. This is the final and greatest human freedom. The freedom to find meaning in any and every circumstance, no matter how bleak. So, let's put this all together into a practical guide. You are in pain. The suffering feels meaningless. What do? You must become an active creator of meaning. You ask yourself the 3 great questions of logotherapy. First, the question of action. Is there anything I can do here? Is there a creative work, a task, a deed that can give this suffering a purpose? This is the path of contribution. Second, the question of connection. If I cannot act, what can I experience? Who can I love? What beauty can I still find? How can this experience deepen my capacity for connection? This is the path of love. And third, if the answer to the first 2 is nothing, if the suffering is truly unavoidable and unchangeable, you ask the ultimate question, the question of attitude. What is the most courageous, dignified, and meaningful attitude I can choose to take in the face of this suffering? How can I turn this tragedy into a personal triumph? This is the path of courage. These 3 questions are your compass in the darkness. They are the secret of Viktor Frankl. They are a technology for the soul that can transform the heaviest lead of despair into the radiant gold of meaning. This does not make the pain go away. The grief is still real. The loss is still profound, but it is no longer meaningless. And that makes all the difference. Meaningless suffering is a dark, crushing weight. Meaningful suffering, on the other hand, can be borne. It can even be ennobling. It can be the very thing that reveals the true strength and depth of your own spirit. This is the great paradox. Our search for meaning so often begins in our moments of greatest happiness and success. But it is almost always found in our moments of greatest suffering. The wound is where the light enters. The pain is the portal to purpose. I want you to think about a struggle in your own life right now, a source of pain, and I want you to run it through this 3-part filter. Is there an action you can take to give it meaning? Is there a way you can use it to deepen your love and connection? Or is this your opportunity to choose a courageous attitude and transform this pain into your own personal triumph? The answer is there. The potential for meaning is always present. The only question is whether you will choose to create it. This is not about being a Pollyanna. This is not about pretending that pain is not painful. It is about recognizing that you are more than your pain. You are the one who gets to decide what your pain means. And in that decision lies all your power. If this has given you a new map to navigate the difficult terrain of your own life, if it has offered a flicker of light in a dark place, then I invite you to join our community of meaning seekers. Like this video to share this life-saving wisdom, and subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the art of a meaningful life. And be sure to ring the bell. Your journey is important. Now for our shared work of creation. In the comments below, I want you to share which of the 3 paths to meaning action, love or attitude, you feel most called to walk in your own current struggles. This is a powerful act of choosing your path. Remember Frankl's ultimate discovery, forged in the fires of Auschwitz. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Your suffering is a part of your story, but you, and you alone, are the one who gets to write what it means. Choose meaning. Choose life.